way you spot gaslighting, there's a handful of things, right? So number one, when you understand boundaries, when you heal, when you become a better person, when you understand, when you start working on communication, you spot gaslighting and manipulation. I saw another question about manipulation. You see that immediately, because people who are healthy, they don't gaslight. They don't feel the need to manipulate. They hit you with the truth right between their eyes, right? Hey, I'm not interested. There's no question if, when for those of you who don't know, I am single. So like if I'm dating someone, if I'm not interested, I literally say that. I'm not interested, right? Or because I only date people who communicate well, same thing. They'll tell me, just not interested, right? Or whatever. Very direct communication. Are we trying to be rude and brutally honest? You don't need to be brutally honest with people, right? The brutal and honesty don't necessarily need to go together, but very direct communication. When you feel confused, right, about a conversation that you're having with someone, right? When you notice that they keep changing the narrative, right? When everything always goes into their favor and everything always twists and you are being blamed for everything, right? Or some key critical facts where they can't stay on subject, right? They're always blaming, always shifting everything. The narrative is when you feel like they're talking in circles, when they're throwing, like when it feels like they're just throwing anything at a subject, it seems like they're just throwing, it's called word salad, right? It's a form of gaslighting. They're just throwing stuff up against a wall to see what sticks. When you're trying to have a casual conversation about, trying to talk to them about, I'll use the dishes again, and they begin to shift this to name calling, and you feel like this person is like intentionally trying to push your buttons, right? You start to feel agitated, right? And again, talking in circles, changing the narrative, right? Making you feel like you're the one that's crazy. Because gaslighting is kind of what we call like the street term when it comes to narcissism. Sometimes I actually prefer the clinical term. If people would use the clinical term, it would make more sense. The clinical term for gaslighting is crazy making, right? When you feel like this person is literally trying to convince you that you're crazy by changing up the story, changing up the narrative, right? Shift blaming on you, right? It's always someone else's fault. They're not accepting responsibility. Just throwing a bunch of shit at the wall to see what sticks, so to speak. Then guess what? Gaslighting. Manipulate. So I saw someone else. I'm going to go to the next question because someone asked about manipulation hand in hand, right? Because gaslighting is manipulation. How do we avoid this? We need to understand what manipulation is. We need to understand what good, healthy forms of communication are. We need to understand what toxicity is, and we also need to know what healthy looks like. It's very similar to if you were going to diet, if you were going to begin to eat right. Before you eat right, you need to be able to recognize what good, healthy food is, right? You need to know what healthy eating is, what it looks like. You also need to know what unhealthy food looks like. Because guess what? The minute that someone calls me and says, hey, I ordered a pizza, do you want some? No, I can't eat that, right? Hey, do you want this? No, I can't eat that. No, I can't drink that. You know immediately. Why? Because you studied. You know what it looks like. For those of you who want to know more about gaslighting, about manipulation, a great book for you to read is Out of the Fog by Dana Morningstar.